Okay, so let's do the review for Money Heist, the Korean version. I absolutely loved it. Um, so let's talk about the two different versions, because you've got the Spanish version, if I'm not mistaken. I call it the American version, but if I'm not mistaken, it's Spanish. Um, so you've got the original version, and then you've got the Korean version. So we're currently obviously on season 1. Tokyo in the Korean version isn't self-destructive. Now, certain things are actually different. Tokyo's not a self-destructive character in this one, whereas in the original, she was the most self-destructive person going. Her background now is that she's not necessarily a thief, but she's an ex-military she has an ex-military background. So they've changed some of the characters. For example, Berlin's character, I don't know if he's the professor's brother in this one, because in the original version that wasn't revealed until much later. In the Korean version, Berlin, I assume he's not related to the professor, but we don't know that yet. Berlin, he's pretty much like a psycho killer, because he was in prison ever since he was a child trying to escape North Korea, if I'm not mistaken. I love the Korean background when they mention K-pop, North Korea and South Korea, and their own private wars they're having with each other in terms of politics, social and economic differences. The camera shots I found were a bit too jumpy. It's like you could never enjoy a shot long enough before they jump to something else. It's like watching the latest season of Stranger Things. It's a bit too jumpy all the time necessarily. So I think maybe try and let us enjoy a few shots before you jump to the next one, unless it's obviously an action scene or a high intense scene. But I just found that all the shots were a bit too snappy and you didn't get to enjoy much of it. I think it's very interesting. The professor, decent. The acting's he's pretty decent. He's very controlled. I found this professor, because you got the two professors, the original version and the Korean version. In the original version, the professor's very kind of, I don't know, on edge. He's sort of very fidgety sort of thing. You know, he's very on edge and he's always using his mind. The Korean version, he's very kind of still. His mannerisms, his facial expressions, he's very still, he's very controlled, he's very slow. The negotiator and the professor. So it starts off where they're 3 months into seeing each other. So you've already skipped the romance. Whereas in the original version, they meet during the heist, not 3 months beforehand. So I suppose in the Korean version it shows more prep beforehand, where he works on where the professor works on the negotiator because he wants to seduce her. So that was part of the plan. Whereas in the original version, it wasn't part of the plan. It just happened, and it went from there. Well, he's starting to fall in love with us. I love that. But it's just a shame because I loved the fact that they fell in love during the heist. Whereas in the Korean version, you've kind of skipped that romance. And I just thought it would be nice to see the romance rather than, oh no, we've been seeing each other for 3 months now and, you know, this is great, let's carry on going. You know what I mean? I would have preferred to have seen them fall in love rather than, 3 months later. Okay, yeah, so... So, yeah, I love the psychological tactic, but Berlin's got it on a point. Berlin has grown up in a prison. He knows psychologically how to get everybody to stand together and divide everybody. Like when he talks originally about, he talks about being in prison and having a spade. And if someone took his spade, he'd have to send one of the people in his group to go get another one. And if they got caught, bad things will happen. So it's psychological. Now, he had the right idea to make the hostages scared of them, because then they wouldn't try anything. Whereas when Tokyo took over and treated them nicely, it technically didn't go in their favour because, well, the hostages battered one of the gunmen. It's not Rio. I think it's Denver. It's Denver or Rio. I can't remember which one. The guy with the long hair. And well, they wouldn't have done that if they'd have feared their lives. Also, I love the psychological tactic that Berlin makes when he says, okay, North Korea stand to the left, South Korea stand to the right. If the North Koreans do anything, the South Koreans are going to get punished. If the South Koreans do anything, the North Koreans are going to get punished. So neither side wants to do anything because the other side are going to get punished, which is then what causes a civil war within the hostages, where they turn on each other rather than the gunmen, which I thought was, again, a brilliant psychological tactic. Tokyo and that guy. So again, it's the opposite of the original, and the opposite of what's going on with the professor and the negotiator, because the professor and negotiator, they've skipped their romance and made it part of the plan 2 months in beforehand that they've had this romance. Tokyo and her lover, they're not together yet. They have yet to actually fall in love during the heist, whereas in the original, they kind of got together as during the 6 months where they were prepping for. So with Tokyo and her lover, it's the opposite of the professor and the negotiator. Whereas one couple have skipped the romance, the other one are embracing it, which goes against the original. So the third episode, I wrote down here, episode 3, already trying to kill each other. It's the one thing I kind of did get and didn't get at the same time. Even in the original, where they were trying to kill each other off, it's like, guys, you're supposed to be doing a heist, and you're trying to kill each other. And it's like, how do you expect us to work? I don't know. I loved my favourite bit of the entire season, original like the current. My favourite bit is where they all change masks because they know that they're trying to sneak in, and when the medics and the police officer are on the way out, they get everybody to clap, and that was by far my favourite scene. I'm looking forward to season 2. It's really good to see a different version, to be honest. I wonder what other changes they're going to make. Because, again, it's a different version, so although the storyline's the same, they might have altered it. Which I don't think's a bad thing, to be honest. It'll be kind of boring if it was identical. So it is good that they're doing different things. I can't wait for season 2. Please subscribe, because I need money.